Now consider John the Baptist. You know, John the Baptist, I mean, we're talking about speaking to the real power shakers here. You know, John the Baptist says it's not lawful for you to have your brother's wife. And of course, he was killed for that. He was killed for that. Notice Mark 6 and verse 17. For Herod himself sent forth and laid hold of John and bound him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother's Philip's wife, for he had married her. For John had said unto Herod, it's not lawful for you to have your brother's wife. Where is the church when it comes to political issues? You know, I'm not talking about Democrat or Republicans. I'm talking about right versus wrong. When evil is present, pure religion condemns it. You know, I hear more going on in talk radio while the church remains silent over these issues. Absolutely silent. You know, we've just given Iran the ability to destroy us as a nation and funding the cause so they can turn and first wipe out Israel and then wipe out us. Listen, that's not Democrat or Republican. That's just rank stupidity is what that is. But where is the voice of the church? Matthew 10 and verse 17 says, but beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the council, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. How could you live a Christian life and not be noticed, is my question. Matthew 10 and verse 18, and you shall be brought before governors and kings for my name's sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. You know, you don't get into trouble with government unless you trouble government. Matthew 10 and verse 22, and you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. He that endures to the end shall be saved. How could you be hated? How could you be hated? Let me tell you how. When your life, your message condemns the life that others are living, that's how you can be hated. There is corruption in the highest places, and Christians are to speak against it. What can you do? You can write a letter to the newspaper. The church, someone said the church has been too long examining its own navel. It's time to speak the truth. It's time to speak the truth about crime, about abortion, about homosexuality, about murder, about theft, about morals, about value-free sex education. It's time for the church to come out of the closet. Now, the second point that got Jesus killed was this. Jesus was a threat to the religious establishment of his day. He was a thorn in the flesh to the religious establishment of his day. He did things like deliberately healed on the Sabbath day. There was nothing wrong with healing on the Sabbath day. It's just that the Pharisees of his day had built fences around the law of God. The Sabbath is a simplistic commandment. Rest, worship me, disconnect from your busy life and connect with me. It's a simplistic commandment. But the Pharisees had built laws around each one of the 10 commandments, and they had rules like you can't heal on the Sabbath day. That's a sin. And so Jesus deliberately healed on the Sabbath day just to mess with their mind. Nothing wrong with healing. It broke their traditions. Their oral law is what it broke. He would say things like, be healed. Instead of saying be healed, he would say, your sins are forgiven. Because he was the Son of God, he could do that. Instead of saying be healed, he would say your sins are forgiven. He knew that would just irritate and fly in the face of these self-righteous Pharisees who didn't know who Jesus was, and they would say things like, well, only God can forgive sins. They didn't know he was the Son of God standing right before them. People would ask, Master, if we would see a sign. And Jesus said, no sign is going to be given to you except the sign of Jonah. An evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign. He's telling these people, you are an evil and an adulterous generation. Jesus spoke the truth.
Check us out on the web at isthatreallyinthebible.com.